And countdown begins to the high-stakes Modi-Putin summit. During the plenary session of the Russia Calling Forum, the Russian President Vladimir Putin highlighted Moscow's aim to further strengthen India-Russia ties. The Russian president asserted increased trade volume with key allies, including India, and said that cooperation with New Delhi will be taken to the next level when he visits India. Putin also highlighted Russia's strong friendship and cooperation with his strategic partner India. The statements come before the Russian president's visit to India on the 4th of December.
Ну и вообще, мне с сожалением придется констатировать, что мне, собственно, придется, прежде всего, хочу поприветствовать участников и гостей пленарного содержательных дискуссий по вопросам, которые представляют интерес для бизнеса. Это мероприятие вновь собрало предпринимателей, инвесторов из десятков государств мира, прямо влияют на развитие торговых и инвестиционных связей с зарубежными странами. Мы будем и дальше выстраивать суверенную экономическую политику, действовать на внешнем контуре, исходя из собственных национальных интересов, потребностей отечественного бизнеса и наших граждан, выполнять обязательства перед иностранными контрагентами и наращивать сотрудничество с теми государствами, которые в этом заинтересованы. Уже говорил, таких стран, действующих рационально и прагматично, абсолютное большинство. За последние 3 года мы существенно увеличили объем торговли с ними. Прежде всего, имея в виду ключевых партнеров – Китай, Индию, с которыми нас объединяют долгие годы дружбы и стратегического взаимодействия.
All right, the stage is all set, and for the first time since the Ukraine war began in 2022, Russian President Vladimir Putin will be making his way to India. Ahead of his arrival, we will explain, that's the graphics on your screens, what's on the table when Putin meets India's Prime Minister and what's on agenda. So, the Russian President Vladimir Putin, ahead of the high-stakes summit, the first agenda is S-400, the deal. The S-400 missile system is on the agenda, with the Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov saying that discussions could include the sale of S-400 long-range air defense missile systems. Second, India will also begin discussions on buying Russia's Su-57 fifth-generation fighter jet. Apart from defense, another key agenda will be civil nuclear energy. Peskov has said that there is a possibility that India and Russia will sign an agreement on nuclear energy. Counterterrorism will also feature during the Russian president's visit to India. And like I mentioned, that while there are multiple joint projects, there's defense, there's nuclear energy, the visit is the first since the Ukraine-Russia broke out in 2022, and the Ukraine-Russia war will also be featured when the Russian president meets India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi in India. All right, now before the high-stakes summit and before the Russian president's arrival, Moscow has signed off on a major defense pact with New Delhi, marking a clear shift from relationship which was once defined by caution to one now built on open military cooperation. The State Duma, which is the lower house of the Russian parliament, has now ratified the Relos agreement. Now, this agreement is a pact that allows both New Delhi and Moscow to provide logistical support for each other's troops, warships, and aircraft. The pact covers everything from joint exercises and training to humanitarian missions and even disaster relief. Russian officials say that it's another step towards what they call a strategic, comprehensive partnership between New Delhi and Moscow. The move comes ahead of the Russian president's visit to New Delhi. We are just 24 hours away from Putin's visit to India. And this visit by the Russian president and this Relos pact, all of this only signals deeper coordination between the two countries at a time when global defense ties are rapidly realigning. All right, Russian President Vladimir Putin is set to visit India. This is his first India visit since the Ukraine-Russia war began in 2022. A key bilateral has been set up with Prime Minister Modi during Putin's two-day visit to India. Here's a look at the man who shaped his own destiny.
Торжественная церемония вступления Владимира Владимировича Путина.
He emerged from obscurity to become the undisputed leader of the largest country in the world. From humble beginnings to having his writ hold sway in domed city Moscow, capital of modern-day Russia. Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin never missed an opportunity to mold destiny to his advantage. Vladimir Putin was born in 1952 in the Soviet city of Leningrad, still recovering from the shock and deprivations of World War II. Most of the population had died, 1 million of them starved to death. Putin's father had been badly injured in the war. His mother had nearly died of starvation. Living in a rat-infested apartment with 2 other families, Putin's family had no hot water, a broken-down toilet, and little or no heat. Putin's early life was spent in the Russian Dvor, the tough-working communal courtyard where he learnt how to survive by becoming street smart. Early in life, he was attracted to Sambo, a martial art developed by the Soviet Red Army that combined judo with wrestling. Later, he shifted to pure judo and became a master. On his 60th birthday, he was awarded the 8th Dan Black Belt, the highest rank in the sport, becoming the first Russian to have the honor. Vladimir Putin studied law at Leningrad State University, graduated in 1975, and immediately joined the Soviet intelligence service, the KGB. He served as a foreign intelligence officer for 15 years before Lieutenant Colonel Putin retired from active KGB service in 1990. He returned to Russia to become Pro-Rector of Leningrad State University with responsibility for the institution's external relations. In June 1991, Putin became a deputy mayor of St. Petersburg and was put in charge of the city's Committee for External Relations. He officially resigned from the KGB in August. And then onwards, his growth in the world of politics gained true momentum. Vladimir Putin moved to Moscow to work in the Kremlin in the department that managed presidential property. In March 1997, Putin was elevated to Deputy Chief of the Presidential Staff. In July 1998, President Boris Yeltsin first made Putin the director of the FSB, the KGB's domestic successor, and soon after, Secretary of the influential Security Council. Yeltsin, who was searching for an heir to assume his mantle, appointed Putin Prime Minister in 1999. The street kid from Leningrad, who had learned judo to hold his own, was now well on his way to becoming the world player that he was destined to be. Within months of Vladimir Putin becoming Prime Minister, Boris Yeltsin resigned as President of the Russian Federation, and Putin became the acting president in his place on December 31st, 1999.
При осуществлении полномочий президента Российской Федерации.
Putin served 2 terms as Russia's president before stepping down to assume the position of Prime Minister. Russia's constitution then provided anyone from serving 3 consecutive terms as president. During his first 2 terms itself, President Vladimir Putin worked on restoring a sense of national pride and perception of Russia as a global power. At the same time, his policies and economic reforms saw Russian economy experience significant growth.
More than 23,000 sanctions levied by the Euro-Atlantic Alliance against Russia. You can sanction a country to bring it to its knees so that the population becomes so dissatisfied that the population achieves the regime change. But it hasn't worked in Russia.
Президент Российской Федерации.
In March 2012, Putin was re-elected as Russia's president once again. A constitutional amendment extended the presidential term from 4 to 6 years. Since then, Putin has won 2 other consecutive elections by impressive margins each time to remain President of Russia, a post that he still holds. Strong and decisive, Putin has endeared himself to his supporters, within Russia and across the global south, as someone ever willing to challenge the hegemony of Western influence and globalism. Vladimir Putin, the boy from an impoverished background, has by his own efforts today become the ultimate symbol of Russian national sovereignty.